Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we are really digging into something huge, a system that's being woven, almost invisibly, into how billions of people interact every day. We're talking about Meta AI, the big virtual assistant for Meta platforms. And for you, our listener, the mission today isn't just a feature list. It's about understanding the game plan here. We need to pull out the critical stuff, how this AI works, where you actually find it, which honestly is often right where you're already chatting, and what it can do, especially because it's so deeply baked into apps like Instagram, WhatsApp, and even physical hardware like smart glasses. This feels like a major strategic play for them, so getting the architecture right is key.
Absolutely. And if we start right at the foundation, Meta AI, it's best described as a pretty sophisticated AI-powered virtual assistant. But it's designed not just to answer questions. Its goal is to fundamentally boost the user experience across that whole meta universe. So that means supporting everything from just chatting to creating content, getting personalized features, and the crucial part, the engine behind it all. It's powered by Meta's own large language models, specifically Llama.
Okay, Llama. Let's pause there for a second because that feels significant. Using their own model, I mean, lots of tech companies could just license something, right? But Meta's really leaning into their own AI. Is that purely about performance, getting a technical edge, or is it more strategic, like controlling the data, the integration with all those users?
Yeah, that's really where the analysis has to start. Llama definitely offers performance benefits, no doubt. It's built for efficiency, customization. But the choice, overwhelmingly strategic. By building and rolling out its own LLM, Meta gets, well, several big advantages right off the bat. They can fine-tune the model specifically for the kind of interactions they see, short messages, real-time stuff,
Yeah.
very social data you find on Facebook and Instagram. That kind of vertical integration means they control the whole pipeline.
Yeah.
The data coming in, the model's output, the user interface, everything. It builds a really strong competitive moat,
Right.
and ensures Meta AI is optimized for social interaction, which might be different from an AI just focused on, say, information retrieval.
Right. So the philosophy isn't necessarily build the absolute smartest AI, but maybe build the most socially connected AI,
Yeah.
tailored for their world. Which brings us to its core identity. The sources keep mentioning seamless, multimodal, and multilingual. Let's focus on that word, multimodal. For anyone listening who's maybe newer to this AI space, what does that actually mean for Meta AI? Especially when you think about the hardware tie-ins.
Multimodal is really central to what Meta's aiming for. It means the AI isn't just dealing with text, the classic chatbot thing. It can handle and integrate multiple types of media at the same time. We're talking speech, images, video, and this is key real-time visual information. Think of it like giving the AI senses. When Meta AI is on your phone, okay, it's dealing with text and maybe voice,
Mhm.
but integrate it into the Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses. Now it becomes truly multimodal. It can actually analyze and react to what the user's looking at physically, and that enables things like, I don't know, identifying an object instantly, or doing live translation based on a sign you see.
So the idea is this assistant becomes almost like an invisible layer, part of the native function, not somewhere separate you have to go to. We've got the philosophy embedded everywhere.
Hmm.
But for the user, okay, where does this actually show up? Because I think that's where it gets confusing for people. It seems to come in two very different ways.
Precisely. Yeah, the system basically splits into two main modes:
Yep.
the integrated assistant and the standalone app. And they serve different purposes. The integrated assistant, that's the real invisible layer part. This is the core AI woven directly into Meta's big apps: Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger. It lives right where your social life is already happening.
And the power of that integration is huge, isn't it? The key thing isn't just that it's in WhatsApp, but it gets context that other AIs don't have access to. Tell us a bit more about that.
Exactly. Because it's operating inside the messaging app itself, it can do tasks that are specifically relevant to the ongoing conversation. It's not just fielding general knowledge questions. For example, say you're in one of those endless group chats planning a weekend trip. You could actually tag Meta AI and ask it to, like, summarize the last hour of messages, pull out the key decisions or dates, or, you're debating dinner plans. It could suggest restaurants based on the location or time already mentioned right there in the chat. It shifts from being just a search tool to more of a dynamic helper right inside the conversation.
That definitely tackles a common frustration, the monster group chat. Okay, so that's the embedded version. What about the second mode, the standalone app? If the goal is integration, why have a separate app at all?
Good question. The standalone Meta AI app, and you'll often see it listed as Meta AI Vibes and AI Glasses, in the app stores, it's really a central hub for two pretty strategic things. First, it's basically the required companion app for the hardware. specifically the Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses. It essentially took over from the old Meta View app, handles all the media transfer settings, connection stuff for the glasses. And second, it gives users a dedicated space if they want that focused interaction. This is where you might go for, say, a longer voice chat with the AI one-on-one, or just to play around with its more creative tools. Which brings us to that Vibes feed.
The Vibes feed, right? That section specifically for creating content. That feels like a very deliberate push towards entertainment, maybe over pure utility. Why focus so much on generative, short-form video right there in the main standalone hub?
It's definitely a deliberate strategic move, and it ties right back into their core business, right? Meta wants to keep people engaged in its ecosystem, creating and sharing. The Vibes feed basically lowers the barrier to making stuff dramatically. Users can create, remix, share short AI-generated videos, images, whatever, almost instantly. It feeds that social media content machine with new, novel material. If the AI helps you whip up a cool video or a striking image for your Instagram story, you're probably going to spend more time on Instagram or Facebook. It reinforces that whole cycle of creation and consumption. It really highlights the focus on social and creative stuff, making content generation part of the AI experience, not just information lookup.
It sort of makes the AI a collaborator or even a competitor for human creators. Blurs that line quite a bit. Okay, so we've established where it lives in your chats, in a dedicated app connected to hardware. Now let's link that deep access to what it can actually do. What does having this huge digital footprint allow Meta AI to achieve that maybe other AIs struggle with?
Well, the functions really flow straight from that architecture. At the most basic level, sure, you've got the standard conversational chatbot. It answers questions on tons of topics, finding recipes, helping with code, recommending movies, drafting emails, the table stakes for a modern AI. But where it gets more interesting, I think, is in two main areas. First, real-time information. Because Meta is obviously plugged into the live web, it can search for genuinely up-to-date answers. It avoids that knowledge cutoff problem you see with some older models. Second, and this is vital for social media, its generative AI is really geared towards quick creation. Custom images, videos from text prompts, help writing catchy captions, finding trending hashtags. It's built to be fast and ready for sharing.
Like an instant social utility layer. But the capabilities really seem to ramp up when we talk about the hardware piece, the Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses integration. This is where that multimodal idea really comes alive, right? Turning software into a physical assistant.
That's absolutely right. That whole seamless philosophy kind of finds its ultimate expression there. The AI is literally in the glasses. It allows for completely hands-free, voice-driven assistance. You're not fumbling for your phone, you're just talking. You ask the glasses something, it answers in your ear. It feels like the first real step towards ambient computing that Meta's actually shipped at scale. And this integration, it naturally brings up big questions about capability, like what can the AI do when it can see what you see? The answer is real-time image analysis. It can understand the environment around you, identify a landmark, translate a menu right in front of you, recognize an object. And crucially, this powers live translation based on what you're actually seeing, like a street sign in another language, not just based on audio or text input.
That real-time visual context.
Yeah, that's definitely a potential game changer for getting information immediately, making things more accessible. It really shifts the AI from just being a chat partner to potentially a perceptive guide to your surroundings. Okay, so zooming out a bit, we've hit the Llama core, the two ways you find it, integrated versus standalone, the hardware power-ups. What's the final takeaway here, the big picture?
I think the strategic goal is pretty clear. Meta is designing AI not as a separate tool you consciously decide to use, but more like an invisible, always-on layer, a layer across pretty much every moment of social interaction and content creation on their platforms. They're essentially marrying the helper functions directly with the social experience itself. They make the AI indispensable by tying it right into what people already spend hours doing, messaging and sharing content.
And why this really matters to you, the listener, is how fundamentally it could change the way we interact with technology day to day. We seem to be moving away from needing a specific screen, a browser tab, a phone app to access an assistant. Instead, we're interacting with it in real time, maybe hands-free, right within the chats, and even the physical spaces we're already in constantly. It really changes the whole relationship with AI tools, makes us think differently about privacy, utility, everything.
It really does. And that brings us neatly to a provocative thought, something for you to chew on this week. Given that Meta AI is designed to blend seamless content creation, think the Vibes feed. with real-time social help, like summarizing chats or translating signs through glasses. What happens to the line between stuff we personally create and stuff the AI generates or assists with when the tech is embedded this deeply into our everyday social lives? Are we heading towards a future where sharing AI-assisted output becomes just as common as sharing our own photos or thoughts?
That feels like the core question for the next era of social media. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into Meta AI. We'll catch you next time.